Welcome to the Smart Publishing Impact Series, where we show you how to turn your expertise into a book that actually drives results. I'm Jonathan Lautermilch, CEO of Smart Publishing.
And I'm Renée Lautermilch, Chief Editor of Smart Publishing. This is the podcast for business owners, coaches, and professionals who don't just want to be authors. They want to use a book to build authority, attract clients, and create real opportunities.
Each week, we break down what actually works when it comes to writing, publishing, and leveraging a book the right way. Sometimes it's just us pulling back the curtain on our process. Other times we're joined by authors, industry experts, sharing how they've used a book to grow their business. If you've ever thought about writing a book, or you already have one and want it to do more for you, you're in the right place. Let's get into it.
Hello and welcome to the Smart Publishing Impact Series. I am Renée Lautermilch, one of your co-hosts and chief editor at Smart Publishing, and I am joined by my co-host, Jonathan Lautermilch. Say hi to the people real quick.
Hello!
Yes, hello. And this is episode 69. We actually have a guest, a forthcoming author here, Corina Tan, with us. I will introduce you guys to her here in just a few moments. For those of you listening, this is actually take two. We had Andrew from our team jump in here just a second ago and then end the podcast on us. So, we're hoping for all the good juju that all the technology spirits will behave on this take two. So let me quickly introduce our guest. So today our guest is Dr. Corina Tan. She is a global leadership authority with over 35 years of executive experience spanning banking, telecommunications, the technology industry. She was a vice president at Dell Technologies for over 2 decades, where she oversaw operations supporting a $13 billion global business, became the first woman to lead a Dell site of more than 4,000 employees in Malaysia, and guided large-scale organizational transformations across Asia and the United States. She was a pioneer in the field of customer experience leadership, co-founded the Call Center Association of Malaysia, and has developed leaders across 2 continents. Her credentials include HRDC, accredited trainer, certifications from Marshall Goldsmith, Stakeholder-Centered Coaching, International Coaching Federation, and the Chartered Management Institute of UK. So what is she doing today? Today, she is the founder and CEO of Grow With Coaching and Development, where she partners with executives and organizations navigating change, scale, and reinvention. Her coaching philosophy is at the heart of her book. It's rooted in the wisdom of water, which we will get into, and that the most powerful leaders are not those who force their way through obstacles, but those who learn to flow around them, reshape the terrain, and rise again with greater clarity and purpose. So a little bit about her book. So at 20, Corina left a small Malaysian village with just 200 ringgit in her pocket, which is about 70 US dollars. Over the next 35 years, she became the woman that I just introduced to you guys. And what she has done is distill that experience and the lessons that she has learned into her book, Lead Like Water, where she doesn't smooth over the difficult parts. It's top to bottom, and it also does not gloss over the difficulty of balancing work and family as well, which, as her editor and a woman and a mother, I really, really appreciated. She writes about the manager who called her English atrocious on her first job, the years of unrecognized effort before her breakthrough came, the courage it takes to walk away from everything you've built and begin again, and the critical role of everybody who supported her along the way is such a huge element in the book. So that is going to be coming out on August 18th. Whether you listening are just starting out, chasing a bigger dream, balancing the demands of career and family, leading through uncertainty, or wondering if you still have what it takes to start over, this book is for you. So mark the date and get ready to check it out on Amazon. Corina, I'll pass to you to say hi to our listeners and introduce anything that I didn't already comprehensively do in my introduction. I hope I did you justice.
Oh, definitely you did. So thank you. Hi, everyone. As you were reading it, Renée, I kind of feel like a little bit of emotional, but you definitely did well. So thank you for that. I appreciate it.
Yeah, you bet. Our pleasure. Okay, Jonathan's got the hard-hitting questions. So,
Oh,
Jonathan, I
well,
know you're eager to ask some stuff here,
yeah.
and I
No,
will let you get
so
started.
first, I'll just say that's a hell of a resume. Like, just wow. And it's funny, Corina, because like most of the people that we end up working with as publishing partners, they typically go through me first, right? So I get an idea of who they are and the background and where to start. And you, funny enough, came in directly through Renee. So I haven't really had a whole lot of time to find out specifically about your story and all the things you've overcome. So I think that's really cool. Like, I didn't know that was your origin story. I was like a superhero origin story. That's how I heard that. So I'm excited to get to know you better and to really pull out some of the wisdom and gold nuggets from not just your book, but just from your life experiences. But where I'd like to start with you for today to kind of get the ball rolling is what was happening in your life when you realized that you had to write this book?
Well, so first of all, thank you. Thank you for the compliment. Like what I said, I'm a bit emotional in that sense, like by hearing my own story. So this book has been in my heart for many years, in that sense that I always wanted to kind of share my story around the world, but somehow just couldn't get the time or whatever the reason is, right? For my experience of 30 over years in the global leadership, I realized that I was really fortunate to learn from all amazing leaders, mentors, colleagues, and teams around the world. So as I reflect my own journey, right, from a small village to become a vice president, I felt a responsibility to capture those lessons before they fade, right? You know, age doesn't help, right? And share them with the leaders everywhere. So in many ways, this book is my way of saying thank you to everyone who invested in me and paying those lessons forward to the next generation of leaders.
That's yeah. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah. And like what Renee has mentioned just now, the title of Lead Like Water, I had this inside me that whenever time I look at water, I feel like something in me, you know, and because water is so adaptable, resilient, and stay true its nature, no matter the environment is. And especially in today's rapid changing world, right? Especially with this AI transformation, how we work. So I believe that leaders need those same qualities to adapt the confidence without losing their humanity. So that's where I see the need, and, you know, my timing kind of just came in.
No, it's brilliantly said. And sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off earlier, but like what you said about this being like kind of like a love letter or a thank you to those that invested in you all over these years, just made me think about some of the mentors I've had in my life that invested in me as well and played really critical roles in not just developing me personally, but professionally. So what I was going to ask you is, obviously, I know you've had a lot of mentors, and it's probably hard to pick like which one had the most impact on you. But if you had to pick one that had like this pivotal impact on your life, who would be that mentor that you had?
Yeah, like what you say, that's just a lot in different phases of my life, right? And before I go into that particular person, I felt one critical important thing about us as individuals, kind of maximizing the mentor, is really be accountable of your own development. Because the mentor can tell you everything and anything, right? What's right, do this, do that, and da-da-da-da, that's how I see you. But important is you got to get it. You got to internalize it and say, yes, that's the one. I'm going to anchor on that particular one. And that's where I'm going to introduce my mentor that gave me the opportunity to actually join Dell, and that's Dr. Simon Wong. And he actually wrote a foreword for my book, right? And I'm truly, truly grateful. So what I see in him was, he has the belief in me. And that's when I was like maybe in my mid of my career, 20 plus, late 20 plus. And when he met me and we start becoming friends and 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 then he has this belief in me and told me that, hey, you can do it. You can be someone someday. I'm like, okay, what's someone? Where's someone? Like, what is it even what he's talking about? But that belief that he has in me, I took it and like, okay, if he believes in me, I'm sure I'll be able to do it. And every time when I kind of fall or get into difficulty, you know what happens in work, right? You start to kind of recall and say, okay, I got to keep going, right? That's my motivation. And of course, I look out for him and I see him, and till today, we're still in contact and still in friends. He's one man that don't talk a lot, but when he talk, you better listen.
Right. There you go.
There you go.
I love that. No, what a cool way to honor your mentor and also have him be a part of the book. I think that's beautiful. Now, one of the things you mentioned earlier was, this book's been on your heart for a long time, right? And, obviously you went through certain seasons where maybe it just was not the right timing or you weren't sure where to start. So what I'd like to ask, and I think our viewers would be really interested in this too, is was there anything that almost stopped you from writing this book this time?
I guess of course it did. At times I felt like, wow, and I'm writing this book. Will someone would want to read this? Am I writing it correctly? Yeah, so that hit me on and off. But when I started to shift my mind to say, the book is not about me. I think that's where I kind of like, it's actually not about me. It's about really sharing the experience and bringing the value to the people, right? And that helps me going. And that's the reason why in each of the chapter of the book, right, I do have insights, right, to kind of pull out the few key things that I felt that is important. And then couple more pages of questions, okay, for the readers to reflect. Because again, it's not about me. It's not about me and my story. It's about the reader who is reading it and spend time thinking about themselves and reflect and say, what does it mean to me? Okay, I learned this. Okay, what should I do with it? Do I feel similar feeling? Like reflection is one of the key skills that leaders must have and should have, because it helps you to just think.
Yeah. Renee, I know you want to say something. I saw you over there. I heard you say amen in your head.
Well, yeah, I did an entire podcast episode once on imposter syndrome, which is what, Corina, you were just talking about, that is a sign of when you're thinking, well, would anybody even want to read this? Like, does what I have to say matter? Is it important? That is this huge sign of imposter syndrome. And I tell everybody the cure for imposter syndrome is to switch from me thinking to reader thinking. Who am I trying to serve? What mission am I on? How can I help people with this versus what will people think of me? And you did exactly that, and are just a great example of how that just mental switch can be a huge turning point for anyone who has been hesitant to write their book because they're worried about what people will think. Be more worried about the people who you need to help, not getting helped because you never wrote the book. That's the mental shift right there. Love it.
Yeah. And if one thing I would say is definitely the credit goes to the both of you, right? Along the way, you definitely kind of hold my hand as well, right? And giving me that level of motivation and say, it's okay, you're on the right track, you're doing this correctly, and this is my view and all that. That helps. That definitely giving me the confidence that I'm doing it correctly, you're reading it, you're excited over it, and you don't know me, and we have not met before, right? And the only thing we know each other now is through this book. And because of the partnership, I would say, between Renee, Jonathan, yourself, and myself, that helps a lot.
Yeah. The perspective is huge, because if you don't have somebody outside of yourself to bounce that off of, then how would you know how anybody else would take it? Yeah.
Well, Corina, thank you for saying that. You stole my next question, so I'm going to pass it because you just answered it. So what I want to get into the next part of this is, who is this book specifically for, and how will it make their life better?
Yeah. When I kind of think about it, and when I was writing this book, I felt like this book is for everyone who wants to lead or inspire to lead. So it can be any stage of their life, right? Whether you're a first-time manager, experienced executive, entrepreneur, right? Or simply someone who just want to make a positive impact on others. So I believe you'll find something valuable in all these pages, right? That one thing that was very important to me when I was making this book very practical. Like just now what I mentioned, right? Each book does have some actionable insights and reflection questions. So that's what I want to get at. I want to make it as practical as possible, because it's not really about, something that, that looks so good and sounds so good, but something that is not applicable. And all the stories that I have written is exactly what I walked away. Means that I've gone through it, so I know it's real, right? Yeah.
No, I agree. Me and Renee live by one principle of how you do one thing is how you do everything. And leadership is exactly that. So whether you're a VP of a massive company, or you're a mom or a dad, or shoot, maybe you're just trying to lead yourself well, right, through a season. Leadership is leadership, and when you can really understand those principles, it can absolutely transform your life, because I truly believe that every single person is leading at least one other person. Someone is looking to their example, and that's an opportunity to truly change someone's life. So I think that was very well said, Corina. That's awesome.
Yeah, and I always tell people that, what you learn in the corporate world or office or whatever you want to call it, it's actually the same principles when we run our family. And sometimes they laugh. I say, I always have one-to-one with my kids. And they laugh. Of course, I don't say, let's have a one-to-one at 3 o'clock, right? I will say it like, hey, should we go for a coffee? Right? And when the kids don't do well, what do? We sit down. We talk about what's the problem. We talk about what's the issue. We talk about an action plan and who is accountable for the action plan. Exactly the same what we do in the office. Mm-hmm. Action plan, timeline, and how you're going to review it. How do I see the key metrics, right? Did your score go up? Did your metrics go up? So it's the same.
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Me and Renee, we have a similar. I don't know if you want to share, Renee, but yeah, there's definitely some things that we take from business of like how we run our family too. You got something to add?
I was just laughing in my head thinking about putting Aria on a performance improvement plan.
Yeah, we can. Her performance improvement plan is stop PPing in your pants. I think that's what we're starting with her right now. Actually, I have so. Sorry, I'm going to go on a little tangent on this as we're talking about it. So basically, our daughter gets so mad when we go, you need to go pee potty. She throws a huge fit. And I have to explain to her, hey, when you stop pee-peeing in your underwear, you'll get a little bit more say on when we do pee-pee time, right? So I kid you not, she had one day, she goes, I didn't pee-pee in my pants today. And I was like, great job. We go to do pee-pee time, and then she's like, but I didn't pee-pee my pants. I go, you got to do it more than one day in a row, dude. So when you can show me consistency. Right. Let's go for more than just one day in a row, kiddo, and we'll open up this thing. You get a little bit more say on when pee-pee time is.
She didn't meet the performance improvement plan expectations. You got to draw a 15, 30, 60, or 90-day timeline.
Right. But the thing is, you got to celebrate small wins. Don't forget that.
I did.
True.
I did. Look, trust me. I high-fived her. I took
one
her to,
ice cream,
Yeah, I took her. I took her to Cane's Chicken and got her chicken fingers.
That's
so
better.
so she's getting rewarded, but she needs to understand you got to do more than 2 days.
Yeah. And the price goes up accordingly. That's what we do in the cup world as well, right?
Absolutely.
One data point is not good enough. I need a couple more quarters.
You know what? That's your next book right there. leadership in the family, and we can be contributing authors on some of the things that we're doing on that.
Oh, yeah. With my 4 kids, I have a lot of experience, all different. And I have a pair of twins. So managing twins can be very different as well.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Sorry. Tangent over. We'll get back on track for this. So, okay. So, once again, you talked about how this is really for people that want to really develop in leadership. And as we're just joking, that can be in every area of your life. But if you had to pick one thing, like if someone only got one thing out of the whole book, and there's a ton of things they can get and they hopefully get out of it, but if you only had to pick one thing for them to take away, what would that be?
I would say that success isn't measured by the title we hold. It's measured by the lives we influence. So it is like water, right? Great leaders stay true to their values while adapting to change with humility, resilience, and sincerity.
Well said. Microphone drop on that one. I won't add to that. That was perfectly said how it was. So we kind of already talked about, and you kind of shared the benefit of working with the publisher versus, publishing on your own. But what I'd like to ask is out of this whole process and Korean, once again, we've gone from idea to physical book to marketing to obviously we'll work on, what we're going to do with the book after we launch it here in August. But during this process, was there any moment where you thought, wow, I'm really glad I didn't do this on my own?
Yeah, definitely. Because there's so much that happens behind the scene that people don't see, right? Which is like editing, designing, formatting, production, and marketing. That's a huge undertaking, right? So having y'all as my partner allows me to focus on what's meaningful, which is what's the content. I want to spend time only on the content because that's what I'm good at, right? And that's what I want to spend time on, right? And knowing that someone, which is you and Renee, is working on what you are good at. So I'm one person that always kind of think about how do I maximize and leverage, right? I wouldn't say leverage on others, but really kind of getting the highest impact on what we do. I do what I'm good at, and someone else do what they are good at, and that's the power.
Yeah. No, well said. And I like asking that question because, and Renee, you can speak to this. Some of our publishing partners we work with, they really flourish in the book creation part, but they need a lot of help on the marketing side, right? And we've got other people that they flourish on the marketing side, but God bless it, they need help on making the book and getting through that part. So it's interesting getting kind of your perspective on where you're at with things because we work with people in so many different ranges with that. And obviously we help everyone with everything on that. But based on where you need that specific help, that's where me and Renee really try to do our best on, okay, let's focus on this part because this is where they need the most help in those regards. So I appreciate you sharing that.
Yeah. And I mean, it even shows up between you and I in terms of what I'm good at is not what you're good at, and what you're good at is not what I'm good at. And so Jonathan and I even just between the two balance each other, and that the marketing and all that stuff, that's his world. And then all the nerdy book and publishing stuff is my world that I just, absolutely love.
Yeah. And that's the leadership skills though. Able to identify, right, what you are good at and what others is good at. And that's how a team becomes more powerful. Yeah, absolutely. That is a skill that I would like a lot of people to acquire because then it becomes a lot more impactful.
Yeah.
No, absolutely. It's been an interesting ride building a business with your spouse, as me and Renee could obviously do a whole episode on what that looks like. But no, you're absolutely right, though. And as we've gotten older, we've really settled into okay, we're on the same team. Here's what we're trying to accomplish together. What do you need to focus on? What do I need to focus on? But here's the big common goal that we're working on together at the end of the day. So I appreciate you saying that. So let me ask you this, Corina. What's your vision for the impact that you want this book to have on people? Like, what's the big picture vision you have?
Yeah. I definitely hope that this book inspire leaders around the world, right, to lead with greater confidence, compassion, and adaptability. Compassion is definitely one of the keywords, especially with everything that is happening around the world today. We need to be very, very compassionate, with everyone surrounding us, right? It is also become the foundation of my next chapter of my work, right? I'm expanding my executive coaching practice, developing new leadership programs, and creating AI-ready leadership workshops to help organizations to prepare their leaders for the future of work, right? So reading create awareness, coaching, training, consulting create transformational. So my passion in helping leaders, turning the ideas into action and becoming the kind of leaders others that really genuinely wants to follow. And that's very, very important, right? If you follow a wrong leader, your life is going to be tough, So I'm really hoping that leaders can learn and becomes a better leader, because when you becomes a better leader, the whole team is happy working. Everyone is putting all their hands in. The results that you achieve is a lot more powerful, and you really take it to the next level.
Well said. Renee, you got anything to piggyback on that on?
Just for the listeners who don't know Corina's story, and I wish I've got the book behind me somewhere. It's such a pretty book. It's such a, okay, yeah, there it is. So beautiful. So if you're listening and not watching this on YouTube, if you're listening on Spotify or Apple Podcasts and you couldn't see the cover that Corina just held up, it shows a woman walking from a village to, like a high-rise sort of area, representing the subtitle of the book, which is From the Village to the Boardroom. But I think one of the things that stands out about Corina's story is it should wipe away anyone's excuses around why they cannot get to a certain level they want to get to. Corina literally started out by living in like a hut. So if you couldn't see the cover, that village, it's not like a village of like brick houses and things. No, it's like, I think the palm leaf or the straw roofs. She grew up in a traditional Malaysian style hut where I think you said when it rains, like water would come through the roof, dirt floors, I think as well. So it wasn't just like, the 70 US dollars in ringgit form in her pocket. She came from selling rice cakes, in the market. And that was how she got started. Her friends were going off to college and stuff. It wasn't something that was an option for you. You have one of the scrappiest stories that I've gotten to work on in my publishing career. And you're very humble in that, that's not something that you put at the forefront, but you literally went from a dirt floor hut with a leaky roof and no college background to you are Dr. Corina Tan, and you run a global executive coaching business off of 35 years of impressive executive global leadership experience.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for saying that. Until today, me and my sister still joke because the leaking in the house is a big deal, right? Means that all of us will be very busy after the rain. So we have a strategy. Means that we have these containers that are always ready and we know exactly which spots, right? Of course, sometimes you get new spots. So as soon as it's going to rain, all of us will run and start putting the containers to make sure that the water drip the right place so that you don't need to clean. It's not about the water. We are not worried about it, but it's the cleaning that we need to manage. And till today, it's still a joke, like among all of us. Yeah, so that's why, me and my sisters and the family, we're all very close because we went through this journey together, and there's still a lot of jokes and funny things that we have done, that we have to go to the market, we spill something and we didn't get to sell, or even to the extent that we had this police chasing us. I don't know if in the US people have ever got that, but if you ever watch Hong Kong movies, people who sell, they have these little stalls on the road, right? Because they don't have money for the real shop, I call it, or stall. So you have a table and then you sell your cakes all along the roadside, right? So once in a while, you will get police coming, right? And you have to run.
Oh,
right?
wow.
Yeah, you have to run because they will take your table and take your food. So means that there's no money for the day, right? So we had got all that experience. So that's why we said, I'm a runner. So what's the problem, right? Truly, I'm a runner. Truly, I'm a runner. But we said we were trained from young, to run fast, to grab our stuff and run, because someone would start yelling at the beginning of the road and said that the police is here, Yeah. And everyone will pack up and start pushing whatever, right?
Wow.
And because there was 4 of us are girls, so it becomes very difficult for us to carry some stuff. So we have to forego some stuff, like things which is more expensive, we'll grab and run so that they don't even catch us. And if they ask whose table is that, I don't know. Right, and stand at the side. So, yeah, so it becomes like a story or a joke among us. Yeah, but that's the memory that we carry.
Wow. So to anybody listening, no excuses. No excuses. Living in a dirt floor hut, running from the cops to where she is now. No excuses, listeners.
As an entrepreneur, you just fired me up, Corina. That was a fantastic story. I had no idea. That's awesome. And there's nothing like a forget your excuses kind of story, because sometimes that's what people need to hear, to go, you know what? My challenges aren't nearly as bad as I thought they were. Let me take some action and start changing things for the better.
I can do it too.
Right.
Yes.
I can do it too. Yeah.
Right. Oh, awesome. That's cool. All right. So as we start laying the plane for this, I got one more question for you, and then we'll do a final kind of announcement when the book's coming out, reminder for everyone. What does this book unlock for you, just going through this process, creating it, either personally or professionally?
I would first say that, number one is emotional, right? Writing that book itself is really it has to force me to think back as far back as when you're young. But at the same time, it gives me clear clarity of my purpose, right? It reminded me how fortunate I have been to learn from the people throughout my career, and none of us succeed alone, right? Even the things that I talk about, you said that I was selling cakes in the market, I actually trained my communication skills. And as a Malaysian, English is not our first language, right? We only have one subject in English. Bahasa is actually our first language, right? So we had to learn more things. And when I was young, I was exposed. Of course, the other joke is I'm a runner, right? So from that training, I run really fast, And I was pretty famous in school being a runner, right? But the key is how or where you started doesn't define where you're going to end. To me, that's the key. A lot of people would have gone into this, that, because someone went to overseas and they got their degree. Of course, they would be in front of us. Naturally. Yeah, but does it mean that you can't chase? You can. That's where I am, right? I just had to run faster, work harder, right? And maybe, sometimes people say, you're smart. I say, no, I'm not that smart too. But I definitely work very hard to try to get smarter, all right? So wherever we are, we just got to really kind of not complain, I would say, and just move forward. And that definitely, writing that book unlocked that for myself as well. Right? Like thinking back, because you never sit and think that way, right? And definitely we don't succeed alone. It's the whole village, right? So my family definitely was the greatest source of my strength. encouraging me through every challenges and celebrating with me on every milestones as well. Right? So this book reflects not only my leadership journey, but their support for me. Yeah, that's why I said emotional, right? That's, you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Writing a book's an intimate experience. You can't. It's going to make you embrace some certain moments in your life and emotions that maybe you haven't thought about in a long time. And I think that's where a lot of people have challenges. So, congratulations on leaning into that and coming through the finish line with this. Once again, your book's going to be not just a bestseller, it's going to be best helper for a lot of people, which is the most important kind of book it can be. So with that being said, once again, go ahead.
Jonathan, sorry, I wanted to answer your second question, which is from a professional standpoint.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Yeah.
I thought that was it.
No. I haven't got to the professional side of it, right?
Shoot.
But it definitely helped me to articulate my leadership philosophy and inspire me to expand my work through, the executive coaching, the leadership programs that I'm going to come out. Yeah. And of course, the key was helping leaders to embrace the future without losing the human side of the leadership. So, yeah, combining that personal, professional, definitely that's something that I definitely took away.
Awesome. Very cool. My bad for cutting you off. I was like, oh, that was it. That was my fault.
No worries. No worries at all.
So once again, Corina Tan's book comes out August 18th. We're going to have the website link down in the comments section where if you want to be able to get a copy for less than $1 one day only, I want to be very clear, it's only for that one day, sign up on the list down below and then you'll get all of the information coming into the launch of that. And then obviously you can get a physical copy on that Wednesday, August 19th. If you want to get a paperback or hardback version. Outside of that, Renee, Corina, any final words to land the plane for today?
I was going to hand to Corina. Where can people find you?
Yeah. Find me in my LinkedIn. You can just search for Dr. Corina Tan. You will find me, right? And yeah, at the link below, like what Jonathan is going to put it there. Find the book, on August the 18th, Lit Like Water, From the Village to the Boardroom.
Awesome. Good deal. And then, you can always find Jonathan and I on Facebook. Lautermilch, Lautermilch is our last name. There's not a lot of them. It's not a common name, so that makes it easy. And you can also find us at smartpublishingservices.com. So thanks again to Dr. Corina Tan for being a guest on the show today. We are super excited about your launch, Corina, and to all of our listeners, as I always say, keep writing your story because the world needs your voice. Until next time.